I don't have a child. This story happened last year. That afternoon I was at the airport and ordered a taxi online to take me home. The taxi driver called me, and because the airport was so noisy, I walked to a quiet place so I could hear his voice well. He picked me up in a car that had 3 rows of seats. I put my suitcase in the second row and sat beside the suitcase. We chatted the whole drive. In the middle of the chat, he suddenly asked if my son was asleep because his voice was no longer heard. I thought I heard it wrong, so I didn't answer, and we talked about other things. When we arrived, I opened the door and got off with my suitcase and said goodbye to him. He asked me, "Where is your child?" I said I have no children, and his face went pale. He immediately got down and checked the back seat, and indeed there was no child there. He panicked and said when he called me he heard a child's voice chattering faintly. I was alone there. I walked far enough that the closest person was still very far from me. There were no children around when he called. Before I got into the car, he saw a small boy getting into the car. But when I was inside, he was confused because he didn't see the boy and thought maybe the boy was lying on his back in the third row so he couldn't see it from the front. Then when he asked me why the boy didn't speak anymore because the first few minutes he sometimes still heard laughter, because I didn't answer, he thought that the boy was asleep. I don't know if he was playing a prank on me or not, but he looked really scared. His hands were cold and shaking. Growing up I received this watch from my grandma, I believe from a garage sale. It was slim, purple, electronic watch with solar power face. Well, I was about 16 when for some reason the alarm would go off around 2:55 every morning. I'd get up and turn it off over and over. Eventually I reset it and placed it in my dresser. That night it went off again. I was pissed it was interrupting my beloved sleep. I'm not sure why I didn't immediately throw it away. But I kept turning the watch alarm off or changing the time for 7 a.m. when I normally woke up. This watch just kept going off at 2:55 a.m. Finally I threw it in trash in our bathroom. That night I heard the watch going off. Freaked out, I'm like, where is it coming from? It was under my bed. The next day my mom said, "Oh, yes, I saw that in the bathroom. Figured you accidentally threw it away, so I tossed on your bed." At this point I was just annoyed, but then I gave the watch to my friend. I thought it was gone for about 2 weeks when I woke up and heard this watch going off. I lost my mind. Why the F? What did I do to deserve this harassment at this point? I found the watch under my bed again. So I opened the window and threw it out. Next day I called my friend who I gave this cheap plastic purple watch to, and she said, "Oh, I never took it from your house. I left it there. I forgot about it." I was so confused because it was gone for 2 weeks almost. So that night I lay awake hearing the alarm go off outside my window softly but smugly. I'm satisfied with the results, much quieter, can barely hear it. Then I ended up going on vacation, and when I came back and walked in my room, Frow's sitting on my dresser is the watch, looking dirty but still working. At this point I was concerned the universe was playing a cruel joke on me. My parents never said they brought it in, and my brother denied bringing it in. I decided to smash it with a cinder block my dad had in his garage, and that was officially the end of my haunted watch experience. I was riding a train at night and had to get off at a station to switch to a different train. As I was waiting on the platform, a guy came up to me, I'm also a guy, and said, "Hey, my name, how's it going?" I didn't recognize this person. Never seen them before in my life. I said, "That's my name, but I don't know you." They went into detail about how they knew me, where I lived, where I worked, and remember that time. None of it was accurate or even close to being accurate. After some confused banter back and forth, with both agreed that was weird and parted ways. I have no explanation for this. I was riding alone and spoke to no one. I had nothing with a name on it that an observer could see. I sat alone and spoke to no one. I'll try to be as precise as possible, hear me out. Yesterday night, I was asked by a friend to join him in his student apartment. I didn't know the layout of the building, so I had him explaining to me the way to follow while I sent him pictures of all of my turns and doors/stairs to confirm that I was going to the right path. My friends told me to get to this one elevator, to the 4th floor, room number X. I send him the picture of me hitting the 4th floor button, and I am very sure that the elevator went up, since I got this one feeling that everybody gets in elevators. You can't get it wrong. I exit the elevator, I turn around and send a picture of the level 4 indicator next to the elevator. Then I send a picture of what's on my left, asking him left. And as soon as I send him the picture for the right, I notice that I am on the level 0, and that on my right, there's just grass outside. I had to retake the elevator again, and this time got to where I had to go. I really felt the elevator going up. How?